Hey guys, welcome to Real Life School Podcast. I'm Tyler Pensick. This is my brother Antonio. And today we're going to talk about mental illness. We're going to talk about an epidemic that is crushing the world, and not many people out there are talking about it. Well, today we're going to talk about firsthand experiences. We're going to talk about friends and family and some scenarios that we've experienced and we've had friends experience. So you guys can learn from us. We are not as tough as we think we are. We're just not, right? And that's the whole point of having good family, friends, surrounding a church. So you guys are taken care of, right? Mental illness is on the rise. We're going to talk about how do we identify it? How do we put in place as a bystander, dealing with friends, vice family, dealing with mental illness? And then how to see that out so that they can actually get some help. So how do we identify it? And I'm going to start off with, I'm going to be bold and talk about most of the people that commit suicide or dealing with mental illness, they will slowly isolate. So we're going to talk about habit pattern, right? I know it's kind of close to home here, but like signs and behaviors. Have you had somebody recently go through this?
Yes. Yeah. I recently lost a childhood friend, and, I didn't really see it coming. I saw a lot of the telltale signs as to why he could possibly, take his own life with the circumstances, with health and various different things like that. But it was completely monotone and wasn't something he talked about at all. I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's great. Yeah, I didn't ask if he was feeling that way.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him a lot, and they say it's the people that don't talk about it. Those are the ones that you have to really look out for. But there's several things that led to it: personal circumstances, health issues, and it breaks my heart. It makes me more motivated to reach out to the people that I do know on a regular basis and just see how they're doing, and not only just talk to them on the phone, but meet with them and do something.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too.
So I think a sign here, when you meet somebody that you've known through childhood, coworkers for years, right? You start to recognize a habit pattern that changes. We're creatures of habit. So I know your routine most of the time, right? And if you break that routine and you're starting to talk about like your routine in the morning in health and fitness and you're not doing it, I know something's up, right? I want to talk about how you deal with the difference between family, friends, and coworkers. Like if I had a problem, you'd deal with me completely different than you would with somebody that is just a friend, right?
Sure, yeah, for the most part. Unless you have people that you're friends with that you've known for a really long time to the point where they're like family. And I think also too, if you share the same worldview, and it's said that the deepest level of friendship is where you can speak into someone else's life, and they could speak into yours. But that's quite a contrast from people who have just like a superficial relationship where they just maybe go and watch football games together or something like that.
I'm talking about specific steps here. If you had an issue or I had an issue, I would expect that, hey, Antonio, I'm coming over to your house.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll be over there in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like I understand.
In your face and tackle you.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
I want other people to recognize there's no difference in handling family, vice friends, or coworkers, because you don't understand, once you leave somebody that's a friend or a coworker unresolved, you just don't understand. Like, you don't know what they're going to do after that conversation. You may nonchalantly see them at, the cafeteria or, at lunch and everything's okay, but you don't know what's going to happen the next day with a coworker, right? How do you handle that?
I think it's an endearing feeling when you actually do need help and someone kind of, I won't say force, but they're really super blunt.
Yeah.
But the fact that they care about you and want to help you with whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think being that for somebody else is very important.
Yep.
If you're willing to do that and say, I could tell something's going on, and you kind of cut through the BS.
Yeah. Call it.
Right.
Right off the bat.
Right.
So I've had a few moments with people that were on the verge of suicide, and I have interjected intentionally and dominantly to say, listen, I know you ain't right. I just know you're not. I see how you are, and I think something's up. When you open up, when you call it, this is in the steps. When you call it, and they know that you know they're going through something, and then you softly call it back like, what is going on? First of all, I know you're going through something. Something's off. Mm-hmm. Your whole habit pattern is totally effed. I know that you're effed
right.
up, and I don't want to hear that it's not. Then, what is going on? I talk about like being dominant and then retroactively backing it off to the point it's like, tell me what's happening, because I know and I can sniff it that something's off. And don't let them back out of it. But you got to do it in a way where it's like, are you guys there yet? I've done it with coworkers that haven't even known me. They don't even know my birthday. They don't even know maybe not my last name, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, no, and you know, one thing that reminds me of is I've dealt with people, with friends that have had different issues of substance abuse.
Yep.
And it's like, it's an awkward thing. How do you tactfully dance around it or try to lightly talk about it? But I didn't get anywhere with that. So we just kind of dove in head first and had like an aggressive confrontation about it. And that's the only real way to sometimes get to the bottom of something.
Yeah,
at least know where you stand.
Because you know what? I see it. You're not trying to hide anything like
right.
the world knows something's going on.
Secret.
No,
right.
There's no secret. And now that the secret's out, let's dive into the issue why. Why is this happening? And then once they understand, like, yep, secret's out, got it, number one. Number two, tell me why. Is it typically it's money, it's relationships, or some sort of health condition that's driving them off course.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I just hope that these steps to be able to identify it are recognized, and I hope you guys understand, like, this is a real thing that's only going to increase, and I hope you guys understand, like, habit patterns will change because we're creatures of habit, and to recognize whether it's in your family, in your friends, or your coworkers, you have a duty to step in and call it the way that it is. At a profession, right? You have coworkers. They come in at the same time. They look typically the same way. If something breaks that chain, because we're creatures of habit, that is a telltale sign like something's up. Mm-hmm. Okay? Financial instability. Hey, sure. I'm going to Vegas, I'm gambling, I'm going like this. I have car payments, a repo man. These things that come up that are outside the norm is an initial trigger. Okay, this is something that we as friends and family have to recognize, like, wait a second, John Doe's car just got repoed? Mm-hmm. What? Right? And start pulling the string, right?
Yeah, I think it's important just to kind of hedge your life and make decisions to minimize those risks.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like life is already difficult enough as it is when you're doing everything just right.
You feel like you're doing it right?
Well, yeah, it's already difficult enough because there's so many different uncertainties that you're going to be butting up against. So right. I think putting yourself in a highly leveraged situation, that's never going to help, right? Because that's a leading cause for depression and marital stress. If you're financially in a bind and you put yourself there behind the eight ball on a frequent basis. Right. So I recommend it ties into other things from health to not carrying a lot of debt to just being, kind of comfortable if you can help it.
So how to identify it? I got a couple things here. Financially, you hit it, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody is overspending, obviously what they're making, that's going to put undue stress on the family.
Yeah,
it's going to put undue stress on any person, whether family or not, mm-hmm. right? relationships, breakups, a loss of a loved one can just completely demolish somebody's life. If you're close to grandpa, right? Remember grandpa? That hit us hard, right? Childhood stress may come up if you had a broken family, you had childhood trauma. That will also peak its head when you get older, but people don't talk about that, right?
Sure.
Another thing is job profession. Hey, I was supposed to get promoted. This was supposed to be predictable, and it didn't happen. Hey, for all of you that are, think you're grounded and you got solid foundation, these are some of the steps to pick your head up and start to look around your sphere of influence so you can recognize the other people that are going through some real tough times. This is just the start of it. I'm telling you, this is just the start of it. So
yeah, I think, we live in a time where people are increasingly isolated. There are a lot of people who are on their phones. They have this false sense of connection to other people around them with social media. And I think unless you're actually involved in like a community that meets like frequently, or you have people that you do things with, I think it's difficult. It could be very easy to just end up by yourself over a prolonged period of time. It's important to be intentional about your relationships with people, meeting face to face. I think that's the highest, level of quality time you could spend, more so than being on the phone or sending a text message.
Totally.
So I think intentionality is important.
Let's talk about intervention. The difference between, family and friends. A person in your workplace, vice brothers. If I'm messed up, do you think you're ever going to quit on me? No, dude. You're probably going to pin me down and you're going to say, listen, dude, we got a problem. I know you got a problem.
We'll fight it out.
And we're going to fight it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So for all of you that are dealing with the same issues internal to the family, you guys know how to fight it out, right? That mental illness inside the family, you won't let it go too far. You just won't. Because he knows me, I know him. If he's got a problem, I'm gonna be like, listen, Antonio, we're gonna go to bats. But the thing is, we're not gonna stop, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes fighting isn't bad.
No.
Like sometimes you kind of have to let off a little bit of steam, and if you could fight in a way that's productive, you come to like a new understanding with somebody, whether it's a friend or a family. Yeah, for sure.
You grow. We almost got into it a few times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I have with friends of mine too. Yeah. And I remember a buddy of mine told me, "Oh, everything's great." He was dating this girl for a long time, and he told me that the relationship was perfect. They never, ever, ever fought. Well, one day he came home, and all of her stuff was gone. They had been living together. All of her stuff was gone, and there was a little note there that just said, "I'm sorry."
Oh no!
So he felt blindsided. But maybe their relationship was kind of surface level, obviously.
I'm sorry. Like, no explanation.
That's it. Hasta la bye-bye. I'm sorry. I'd rather fight it out and know where we stand than have a surface level interaction.
It's like a bad movie that comes to the end and it's just like a black screen and you're like, wait a second, what just happened?
Yeah, right.
Are you kidding me? What just happened here? So some specific steps here. Most people that are dealing with mental illness are completely isolated. They go from being this jovial person, sometimes, as an example, to somebody that's like, I don't want to go out on a Friday night. For you single people, we all used to love going out, until we met our spouses, until we, grew into this family. But even as people that have families, not wanting to invite other people over for a barbecue, that's a sign of isolation. It's like, well, we used to do barbecues all the time. We used to have family, routines / dinners.
Right.
And now we're not. Like, hey, excuse me, what's up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a sign here. So in order to break that, you have to be intentional. And what I mean by that is call it out. Hey man, we used to have dinners once a week at a minimum. And we don't now? Excuse me, like what's going on? Hey, I'm not saying
the root of it.
It's the root of it, right?
You gotta
isolation.
Whatever it is.
100%. So call it out.
Ask the difficult, awkward questions I mean, I've heard it said, I'd rather have someone stab me in the front than stab me in the back.
Yeah.
If something's going on, call it out.
Yeah.
I think being bold, those are the real types of relationships we want to have with each other. Not just stuff that's just you dance around these superficial topics.
That's
There's
not
no
real.
depth of that relationship.
No, it's not real. So whether it's my brother or whether it's a friend, you have to understand that people are dealing with this that you may not even recognize that they're going through it. And if you want to have an impact, the first and foremost part of this is recognizing it. And after that is the steps that you take to implement so they don't do something crazy. Okay? Right here, break the isolation. You know somebody that's jovial, they go out, they're totally at your barbecues all the time, and all of a sudden they're not. And it's like, listen, dude, I can sniff something going on with you. Call it out. What are you?
Check
what are they
in
gonna
on
do?
them.
They're
Meet 'em
your
for
friends,
coffee.
right? Well, they're your friends. What are you gonna say? Hey, dude, I know something's going on with you, and you're gonna be afraid if they hurt your feelings, if you offend them. I don't think so, because the alternative is so much worse. Okay, support. People that are going through mental illness need constant support. And what I mean by this is a simple text, some sort of boost like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, happy Friday. Hey, it's Monday. For most people, it's tough, but for you, I know you can handle it. Even if you don't believe that at the time, these people that are going through it, that have isolated, you've recognized it, that sort of contact will change their life. You'd be surprised. I'm telling you. Build mental toughness, okay? They need some confidence because they're dealing with stuff that they're not normally used to dealing with, and it's completely austere to them. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think, too, another part of that is, I'm telling you right now, I mean, reach out to people that you are friends with and you haven't spoken to in a while, and I think they'd be happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
You know? I
Totally.
mean, there have been times where I've been in a funk in my life, and I felt maybe burned out with work or whatever else is going on, but then I'd hear from like an old friend, and there would be like an initial feeling like I didn't want to take the call, I didn't want to feel like talking right now, but then I was so happy when I did.
Sure.
And so I think you can be that to somebody else. With what happened recently with my friend, I've been motivated to be that to other people and to reach out to them and go through everyone on my phone and just touch base with people.
You used to
and
tell
just
me
pilot
that.
out the time. Yeah.
You used to have, didn't you?
Alarms or something. Yeah.
You would talk to somebody that you hadn't talked to, and you're like, I'm supposed to call this person.
Yep.
You'd be so intentional, Antonio, and I remember you telling me this years ago.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey, I have it in my phone. I got to talk to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, you need to do it. I mean,
Go through
everyone
your
should
phone.
Do it. Totally.
Go through your contacts
Right.
and make a freaking calendar, whether it's a text or a phone call.
Yep.
Phone call is better
Way
because it's
better.
real.
Meet them for coffee. Go get lunch. Go for a hike. Go do something.
Something
with
for,
them.
for me,
Whatever it is.
real life school is it's about money, real estate, and life. But like, don't spend money. Go out and do something free. Go to a park.
Yeah, go for a
walk,
hike.
and just
Go
say, hey,
whatever.
I want to catch up with you
Yep.
for the next 30 minutes. Can you meet me for 30 minutes? And let's just
People you
go
haven't
walk and
seen.
talk.
How great does that feel when you see someone you haven't seen in
Dude.
years? Sometimes it's been forever.
That's incredible,
it's really
dude.
Great. You got to do that. I think it's important.
You told me that years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I mean, it's tough to stay motivated on and stay on top of that, but I just think start with the letter A and keep going until you get all the way through it.
And if you guys are antisocial, which it's easy to do because
Sure.
we're sitting there on social media and we're scrolling, and it's like
Put the phone
it's
down.
easier. So pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Call them. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. We're coming into a time where you're going to see a lot of this stuff come to a head, and we're talking about it now because I foresee this happening. We are just at the forefront of it right now. And I don't mean that bad. I'm seeing things where people, even in the most beautiful places on the planet, where you would go out on the boardwalk, people don't know how to say good morning. They just don't know how to interact. And these people that are dealing with mental illness, maybe they're not. Maybe you are and you don't even recognize it. Pick up the phone, start with A, like you said, and say,
Call me.
call me.
I'll
I just
talk to you.
want to say hello.
Yep.
I just want to say hi. How's it going? How's business?
Yeah.
How's your kids?
All of it.
How's your health? How's your parents? Because you clearly saved them in your phone for a reason.
Right.
Follow through and build these relationships, because mental illness is at the ultimate high than it ever has been before, because we don't build relationships now. That's just it. People don't know how to build relationships.
Well, it's also not just the building, but just the cultivating and nurturing it. I mean, I've got friends that I haven't talked to in a while, and I just recently reached out to them with the events that happened, and it's like too much time's gone by. You got to plan to do different things and see people.
Yeah.
And put it on the calendar, you know?
So with the most recent incident that happened, you've reached out to 2 or 3 other people that you've mentioned to me that you haven't talked to in years.
Right.
They're in your phone for a reason. And I'm bad about it too, right?
Yeah.
My closest fight is my wife, my kids, my mom, my dad, my brother, my niece, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have a few moments where you can say, it's been a long time. I'd like to check up on you. How you doing? Right?
Right.
So why are we talking about this? 22 vets take their life each day. 130 to 140 civilians take their life every day. You guys may not see that on the mass media, but it is an epidemic, a real epidemic. For me, been in the Marine Corps for a long time, I've seen it. It destroys a unit. It destroys a squadron. It destroys the good, it destroys everything. When you meet somebody that touched your life, even at a barbecue, and you don't recognize that they're not here anymore. So this is the whole point of this podcast, is to be present. Reach out, say hello, just check up, thinking of you. Even if you don't pick up the phone, at least they understand that somebody else out there is looking out for them. So,
and if it's something that you're struggling with yourself, I would say think of those around you. I mean, it's going to have a negative impact on people around you that care about you, even if you don't see them or talk to them frequently.
yeah.
I think it's super important just to reach out to people if you're struggling and let them know what's going on. So that,
Dude, when I'm going through the doldrums, dude, have I not reached out to you and been like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I'm hurting, dude.
Same.
We're hurting. I'm hurting.
Same.
Yeah. And vice versa.
Struggling with whatever's going on, because people want to hear it, People want to know what's going on. They care about you, your friends and family,
Most people want to protect it. They think they're tough. Let me tell you something. We're not supposed to go through this on our own. We're not supposed to do it by ourselves. You're supposed to surround yourself with a family, whether it's blood, whether it's coworkers, whether it's, exterior organizations. Like, we're not supposed to do it by ourselves. So mental illness is on the rise. People are killing themselves all the time. And I want you to understand there are signs, isolation, financial issues, habit patterns that are changing that because you have seen them, you've known them, and all of a sudden they're not the same person. Call them out. Do it in a loving, nice, easy way and say, listen, I've recognized this pattern. You're not at the softball games. You're not hiking you're not cycling. You're not at the events. You're not doing X. You're not doing Y. And I just want to know, what's going on. You can truly tell if somebody is going through something, and you should call them out and say, listen, I'm telling you, I love you, and we got to meet up for coffee. We got to talk about it. They need to know that they're not on their own. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, people, we're social creatures. It's like you want people to go through the highs and the lows with you. Community is super important. For quality friendships are super important for that.
Yeah.
Rather than this kind of posturing like, oh, everything's good. Not everybody's good all the time. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So it's good to have other people that you talk to about this and check in on you, and you check in on them.
telling you guys, mental illness is on the rise. It's going to get worse, and you guys got to understand this, how to identify it, how to intervene, and how to work through it. Because you might find yourself, without even recognizing it, that you're in a tough spot, and you need to understand, like, hey, I need some help, right? You don't have to be super tough to understand, like, there's friends, there's family, and there are people that love you. Reach out, and if not, you can reach out to us at Real Life School. We have plenty of resources. We have plenty of opportunities to be able to plug in and take care of you. So I hope you enjoy this podcast. It'll be made available at reallifeschool.com, all the social media, but most importantly, like, you're not supposed to do this on your own. And when you go through the doldrums, understand that there is an opportunity to make this place better than it was given to you. And once you go down a different path, you don't understand the impact that's going to have on your family, on your friends, or the people that come after you. So we're here for you. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Bye.